Hi, how you doing today? This is Old Dad at Old Dad Discovers, and this is a week after the draft, the auction draft. And since we did it manually, like in person, through an actual, live auction, now the results are finally posted on Yahoo, which is the fantasy football site that we play on. And overall, I thought I did quite well. I was happy with the team that I was able to put together. And if you could see here, my team is called Old Dad Discovers, like my channel. And for this draft, we were given $200 budget to spend. And then once we get to the season, we get an additional $100. So as you can see here, based on my draft and the season starting next weekend, I have $141 to spend, the most in terms of waiver budget because we carried the leftover budget from the draft into here. So therefore, I got 41 extra dollars, which I didn't end up spending. Do I regret it? I don't know because for this draft, I pretty much got the players that I had kind of strategized to get. Would it have been nice to have spent that money and gotten, a first tier running back or a first tier receiver? Yeah, it would have been nice. But then my strategy might have changed, because once you take somebody, from the higher tier, from the top tier, that means somebody else didn't get it. That means they have more what we call fab or money that could be spent later, and therefore it would have impacted who I ended up getting. So I think that little extra money will come in quite valuable during during the season when we have injuries and then we need to pick up what we call free agents or players that are not on somebody's team at the moment. And so initially, as you can see here on the screen, we have waiver priority, in which case I have position one. I'm not sure why, but I'll take it. But before the whole waiver thing goes into action, we have to spend this fab or this waiver budget, and I have the most to spend. So therefore, when there's an injury and there's a free agent that maybe will fill in for that injured person, then I have a lot of money to spend to nab that player and add them to my team. So my strategy was to kind of lay low to see how things shape out because uh, I had a feeling there would be a big run early on some of the first tier players, big name stars. And so I kind of held back. I didn't want to blow all my money so that I could have kind of a more solid middle tier, as you said. I would have more money left over to then take my pick for the middle tier, which I thought, this year was pretty strong. So I just kind of held the money and then was able to pick and choose players that I really wanted. And I thought, I had a pretty decent draft. But you don't know because you don't know who's going to get injured. You don't know what the matchups are and which teams are actually going to be good this year. And my goal was to get uh, my strategy was to get younger players because it's such a violent sport. So I didn't want to get players that were moving up there in age in their late 20s or their early 30s because the chances of injury are really high. And so then, once they're injured, then you have to go on to the players that kind of sit on your bench and play those players. Okay. So let me share with you my team, which is called Old Dad Discovers. So as you can see here, I got quarterback Brock Purdy for like what it was like $0 because I picked him up very late and people had already picked their quarterback. So I got a Niner as my quarterback, which is awesome. My biggest spend was Drake London, who's a wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons. He kind of, towards the end of the year, really performed at a high level, and he's a true number one for that team. And I end up spending $42. So it was, reasonable, good deal for a young, up and coming wide receiver. I think his quarterback situation is much better with Michael Penix Jr., who was a rookie last year and is now in his second year. So he should be a little bit more familiar with the system and the play calling to then have a much better second year. So I think Drake stands to improve on Michael Penix's second year to be, a star. Um, I picked up Michael Pittman, who is, I would say, the number one player for the Indianapolis Colts, and I ended up picking up really late in the draft. And I picked him up because, again, he's the number one player. He had a really bad quarterback situation last year with Anthony Richardson, who was not very accurate. And this year, he gets a new quarterback. What's his name? Uh, geez, I forgot his name. Uh, uh, what's his name? Let me look. I should know it. Okay, players. Is it Daniel Jones? Yeah, from the New York Giants. And yeah, Daniel Jones for the New York Giants, who's now with the Indianapolis Colts. And I think he's more accurate of a passer. I think he's getting a fresh start on a new team. He used to play for the New York Giants and then got benched, but he really didn't have much talent around him, and so he was basically benched for a bunch of scrubs last year. And I think he gets a fresh start in Indianapolis, way more accurate than Anthony Richardson. Has a tendency to lock into his number one receivers, and so Michael Pittman Jr. being the number one receiver, I think he has a shot to catch more balls this year. He's also healthier because he was nursing a bad back, so I think he's kind of a sleeper, I would say, that nobody was looking at, but I think he might come through. Again, he got 111 targets, so it wasn't like he wasn't getting targeted. It's just that I'm sure a lot of the balls were not catchable last year. For my running backs, I got Omarion Hampton, who is the um, new rookie running back for the San Diego or LA Chargers now. And Omarion Hampton comes from North Carolina. He's a sizable back. Um, can catch balls out of the backfield, so he can be a three down back, and he's his only competition um, is Hurt. So I think that he, towards the end of the season, will likely move up to um, a full-time role, I believe. So we'll wait and see. I took a flyer on him because he was a highly ranked running back coming out of college, three down back, can block, and he's going to a system that values the running game, with Jim Harbaugh, who is the former head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. And then he was fired and he went on to Michigan in college football and won a national championship before going back to the pros as the coach of the San Diego Chargers or LA Chargers. Not used to that. I got him for $26, which is reasonable. Again, it's a long season. He's not the starter at the moment, but again, he I think has potential probably by mid-season to be a starter and a three down back. I have Travis Etienne, who was a starter but became a timeshare last year. Got him for only $3. I think people, because of his because of last season, he was oft injured. Did not get the numbers. Only 150 carries, 558 yards, two touchdowns, but he could catch balls out of the backfield. And I think under the new coaching regime, he's probably going to be used mostly as a third down back, a catching back. So he might have value in that role. We'll wait and see. You never know with a new regime, new coaching regime, who will be the lead back. So for $3, has potential. I was able to pick up George Kittle, another Niner, so that's awesome. Um, was the top was the top tight end, receiving tight end last year. 7, 8 balls, over 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns. And I think he's in the top three in terms of ranking for a tight end. And I love my Niner, and I think he's going to have a great season. So I thought it'd be great to pair him up with Brock Purdy, since they have a really good rapport, for the passing game. So, yep, a very reasonable price. That was kind of what $20 is what people had said that he would go for, projected going for. I picked up at running back Kenneth Walker, who plays for the Seattle Seahawks. He was injured quite a bit last year, but I think that he's oft injured, but when he's healthy, he's very productive. And he's going into this offense with a new offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, who was, I think, a former assistant for the Niners before becoming OC with New Orleans. And he schemes up for the running back to get a lot of balls, catch a lot of balls out of the backfield and on screens. And, Kenneth Walker did really well as a catching back last year, catching 46 balls for 299 yards and a touchdown. So that's huge numbers for him because he was mostly used as a two down back before, and now he was heading in that direction to be a receiving back as well. And generally, when he's healthy, he's the lead back. I should have maybe picked up his backup, Zach Charbonnet. I don't know why I didn't. Maybe at that time, um, I didn't know if there would be leftover, budget, and so I didn't want to spend. And in hindsight, I probably should have paired him up and gotten Charbonnet as a handcuff and put him on my bench. That way, I could always be guaranteed a starting running back should Kenneth Walker III go down. Um, I ended up getting Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton was $19, which was a good deal. He's the number one receiver for the Denver Broncos, and he seems to have a really good rapport with Bo Nix, who is in his second year. And so even last year, he caught 81 balls for nearly 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns. And he's well targeted. He's a big receiver. This is, I think, 2 years removed now from his torn ACL. So he should be in his prime to do really well. Then I picked up Rome Adunze, who is, I would say, the big receiver, the number one receiver for the Chicago Bears. And I don't know what I paid for him, but I think I'm pretty sure it was really cheap. I don't have it written down for some reason. It must have been a few dollars, if that. And I don't have it written down, do I? Sutton Hampton. No, I don't. But anyways, I got him cheap. I would say probably $0 or something ridiculously cheap. And he's in his second year, so I expect him to have a better command of the offense. And he's the big receiver. Ben Johnson is also the new offensive coordinator. Oh no, he's the head coach now, offensive coordinator for the Lions, who has come over to Chicago to be the head coach. So I expect them to scheme him to get a lot of balls. He may he may be an even 1-2 with DJ Moore, so that's what I'm hoping for. I expect bigger things from him this year. So he was a flyer late round that I got. I picked up Caleb Johnson, who should be probably the number one back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's sharing the load with I think it's Jalen Warren, who's more of a third down back who catches balls. So Caleb is the bruiser, and in this league, it doesn't reward PPR or points per reception as much. It's only half a point, and so runners and running backs who get the ball at the goal line tend to get more points. And so Caleb Johnson is going to be potentially a three down back and the goal line back, and probably give way to Warren on third downs. But I think he can catch the ball as well. Then I got old man Keenan Allen, who was played for the Chargers probably when it was San Diego, then became LA Chargers, and then last year he went to the Chicago Bears. Was somewhat productive. He had a couple of big games. Still caught 70 balls for 744 yards and 7 touchdowns. He's a sneaky good route runner, and now he's going to a team that has um, a kind of solid slot receiver who was a rookie last year. What is his name? Man, I seem to have forgotten names. Let me see. Wide receivers, all players. Let's see, based on, I don't know which team. Wide receivers. wide receivers, all players, and here I can look him up. Plays for the LA. Why do I keep making that mistake? LA. So Lad McConkey. So Lad is probably the number one receiver, but he plays out a slot, and they might actually move him to the flank or the outside, and maybe have Keenan still continue to use his route running magic in the middle as a slot receiver, and they'll probably be interchangeable. But I think he'll be super productive as well. But we'll wait and see. He's more of a PPR guy, catches a lot of balls, but not obviously get a lot of yardage. And then I have a good backup tight end, David Njoku, who is super productive towards the end of the season last year. And he's a good backup to George Kittle just in case. And with, you know, Joe Flacco is the quarterback. Joe Flacco is the quarterback. And with some rookies behind him, uh, the tight end tends to get a lot of balls. So we'll see. We'll see. And I'll definitely stick him in the lineup if, during George Kittle's bye week or if George Kittle is out, injured. And then I picked up rookie Cam Scatabo. Let me see. David Njoku. I think I paid very little for him as well. I didn't write that down. I typed it into the computer. But probably cheap deal, $4 or $5 for Njoku. Keenan Allen, how much was he? He was only $3. So that's why I have so much leftover money. Was I think everybody had spent big on their teams, and as a result, there was just so much, um, so many kind of quality players still, and people were out of money. And since I had money, I could pick them up. Cam Scatabo, I picked up very early. He went for bidding early. I think Steven nominated him, and I think he has potential to be a starter. I think Tyrone Tracy, who was a rookie last year, is the number one currently. However, he has a tendency to fumble the ball, whereas Cam Scatabo is pretty reliable. He did well last year in college at the university, Arizona State University, a Sun Devil, and he can run. He's a bruiser and he can catch passes. So he could be a three down back, and maybe towards the end of the season he might be the de facto three down back. So that's why I picked him up, and at $6 I took a flyer on him. So we'll see. And then for defense, I actually did not draft the San Francisco 49ers. I had drafted the New York Giants. And the reason why was because their front four is really strong. And I ended up getting them for $1. But then when I looked at, you know, afterwards when everything got uploaded to Yahoo, I had a chance to just go on and review the the still available free agents and available defenses. And again, I'm a 49er fan. And so I thought, Giants are a bit unknown. I follow the 49ers. They got their defensive coordinator back, Robert Saleh, who's an amazing defensive coordinator in his system. And I think they're gonna be a top uh, defensive team this year. They've got a little bit more youth and speed, and he's such a good coach that I think he's going to scheme them well. He's going to try to do different fronts. They finally drafted some young players, defensive tackles who can plug up the middle to stop the run, And so I think they're gonna be good. He's gonna be productive, or the Niners are gonna be productive and dial up some blitzes and get some turnovers. And they have a relatively soft schedule this year. And hence I just said I'm gonna go with another Niner, having Brock Purdy, George Kittle, and the Niners defense to round out my team. So that's it. I'm happy with the team. My team probably may start off slow until things settle down because there's a lot of young players, and I wanted for the most part to keep a young team, except for I think Keenan Allen is the one of the older players as well as George Kittle, but the rest of them are pretty young, and so I'm hoping that they can last through the year, stay healthy, and produce, and we'll see. No huge names on this team like some of the other teams that have all-star players, but super happy, and then we'll just have to wait and see. So, yep, that's my fantasy team, my auction draft. Out of the $200, I spent 159, so I still have 41 dollars plus the 100, right? The 100 that I get, and that should put me in a good position to pick up some free agents. And then my first matchup uh, is with Alex, and he's got a pretty good team too, I have to admit. Pretty strong team. Um, the projected total is 104.84 to 103.85, so I'm slightly favored. He's got a good defense too. But I think let's see, running backs were about the same, I would say. And then tight end, I'm a little better. And wide receiver, I would say about even. It's close. It's close. So we'll see. So yeah. So we'll I'll make transactions if I need to. Hopefully nobody gets hurt in the lead up to the season, not which starts next Thursday with the I guess the kickoff of the season, and then the weekend after will be the opening of the NFL football season 2025. So really looking forward to it. It should be awesome. Again, this is how I play. This is how I relax and connect with my friends, during my downtime, and I'm gonna enjoy it. And we'll see how my team does. It allows me to de-stress. It allows me to strategize, use my brain, keep my brain active, so it doesn't dull, and I don't develop any debilitating brain issues, hopefully, or at least I can stave it off for now. Anyways, I enjoy it. Good, good fun time, good fun draft. So just want to thank the guys, Quinn, who I think helped organize it. Went really smoothly, and it was good fun, clean fun, and 3 hours. So this video that I cut together doesn't show the entire draft because I think that would probably bore the heck out of everybody. But I think I'll keep a longer version, the full version, and maybe just share it with the guys. Um, they might want to look at it, but I doubt anybody else on YouTube would want to look at it. It's just a bunch of guys yelling out numbers at a table, so it's not super exciting. Was for us, but not for a viewing audience. So I'm just cutting together a highlight video and then just sharing the results of my draft. So wish me luck as I go to battle this year, okay? Remember the team, Old Dad Discovers, and also my YouTube channel, Old Dad Discovers, to keep following my season and see how I do. Cheers, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Old Dad Discovers.